This is Michaela McLean, and you're listening to Beauty by Design. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here. It's time to talk about Gate 17. And before we do, just want to mention all the things that I have going on. I just this morning, finally, I know I've been mentioning this. I'm like, I'm going to redesign my free guide. Well, I have done it. She is gorgeous. And available as a free download. You join my email list, you get this free book. It was 23 pages, it's a couple more now, but it looks more like a beautiful magazine or something. And yeah, I'm really kind of in love with it. So please go check that out. Plus, getting on the mailing list. I like never send out emails, so I will not be the person bombarding you, but also I am going to start sending out an email here and there because I've got so many things that are in the works and coming up in the near future. So many cool projects that I'm like, it's a great way of keeping people in the loop. So you want that and you want to kind of like know without me emailing you every day, you get on there. And that link is in the show notes. It'll be in my Instagram bio as well. So check that out. Of course, from there, it's like the $11 masterclasses, the 1 hour, to learn type strategy authority, not self signature deconditioning tips. It is the prerequisite to working with me one on one, but just even that information alone, being able to see your chart, listen to the podcast, you're going to get so much. But like I said, it's the prerequisite to working with me one on one. Obviously, I mainly work with aesthetic professionals, but I do work with other people. I just have really limited booking. So that is also you can find that in the show notes and Instagram bio as well. It's probably going to become even more limited because I'm really focusing my attention on teaching and getting my vision. I don't want to say too much about it, but like what my vision is and how this is going to integrate into aesthetics for everyone. It's like this is not just woo. This is, as far as I'm concerned, very real and very factual and very helpful. Like even before when I was in a super clinical setting and did not have, crystals or different things like that on display, it's like this is valuable information to help treat people and kind of be a therapeutic tool when the joke is that we're people's therapists. They're free therapists, whether you're giving a facial or injecting or something. But you don't really have any training in those therapeutic modalities. So essentially, that's what I'm going to be bringing to the table. So get on there, stay tuned. Big stuff coming. So, like I said, show notes and then Instagram at Michaela McLean. So let's go ahead and get on to the episode. And as always, I like to remind you, don't try to understand this at the mental level. This is about the sound current, letting the energy and frequency of beauty like sink into your cells, get absorbed like good skincare. Yeah. So today, the sun is moving through Aries into Human Design Gate 17, which is located in the Ajna. That's part of the collective understanding or logic circuitry, the more yang, cool headed, planning, and future focused side of the chart. That's the side that likes repeatable patterns that you can experiment with to prove, 2 plus 2 equals 4, no matter where you are. It's the logical left brain. It's about refinement and alignment on this side of the collective circuitry versus the other side, which is more creative. It's the experiential flow of the abstract sensing side. So kind of more cool versus warm, more yang versus yin. So the center of self, the ajna, it is our mental awareness center. It interprets inspiration and information, and then forms it into actual thoughts and opinions. All the awareness centers in the body graph, obviously the ajna being one of them, the spleen, this emotional solar plexus is the other two. They all carry themes of like fears and anxieties. And this one obviously is like mental anxiety. So, in the case of gate 17, this is left brain business. It's recognizing patterns, formulas, labeling everything, using comparison and contrast. It's trying to organize and file information away and use it to form opinions. So, 17 is known as following, it's the gate of opinions. And this one carries the fear of challenge. And in the Red Book, the keynote with this is having opinions based on facts, fear that your opinions will be challenged so you don't share them, the need to have the details to back up the opinions. So, the low expression with this one is having potentially strong opinions and blurting them out, not waiting to be asked for them. This, as we will get to, is a projected channel. Not respecting that your truth, aka your opinion, is not the only valid one, where it's clinging on rigidly to a set way of thinking. This can be hypercritical of itself and others. And again, with a collective energy, it's not meant to be used that way. Collective energy in this sense is meant to be used to make things better for everyone. So it can be closed off to other ways of seeing things, also prone to mental anxiety, worried that its thoughts will not be valued or its opinions will be challenged. It's afraid it doesn't have enough facts, details, etc., to back up its opinions. And the high expression is the ability to take a thought form or opinion and then test it out. Use the scientific method, if you will. Since this is part of that analytical, logical circuitry, it needs to be able to hold up under scrutiny and fact checking. The energy of this gate is highly attuned to visualizing, to seeing, or mentally seeing, specifically with the right eye, patterns and working out the answers, which are meant to be shared with the collective when invited. An elevated expression would be the ability to view all thoughts and opinions with an open mind, taking all perspectives in. So in the gene keys, the shadow of this one is opinion. The gift is farsightedness, and the city is omniscience. And in the gene keys, Richard Rudd states, your opinions sprout from the seeds planted at some point within your first 7 years. And so immediately kind of, in my mind, it's like, have you reviewed and updated your opinions lately? Are you so closed-minded you're stuck on the same thing, or have you allowed those to evolve and change? And if you trace them back, do they even really belong to you, or were they planted by somebody else? Have you allowed other people's opinions to wound you, and are you carrying that baggage around? Are your strong opinions actually your weak points? And what's it time to let go of, what opinions are ready to go? So when he talks about it in the 64 ways, he says, we need to understand something fully before we can transcend it. This is what genius is all about. We learn something, then we unlearn it, then we transcend it, but our transcendence includes it. This is what compassion is, the view from the city. We know what it's like to be opinionated. We understand it in our bones. When we come across it in another, we needn't fight them or react. We can simply let them have their process. We don't have to try and convert them. In fact, we won't be able to, so it's better to forget that path. We also don't have to kill people with kindness. The opinionated person doesn't know what to do with that genuinely loving intelligence. We speak our truth and let our hearts shimmer with our truth when we aren't trying to convert. That's where the power lies. It's in the way of non-attachment. This 17th gift is awesome. It's the power of farsightedness. It's the gift of seeing the matrix, the whole matrix with all its detail. Once we've seen it, we can never go back to the land of opinion and division. This is the domain of the heart mind, this gift. We merge the opposites, looking with intuition and intellect, and rise up to a higher level of functioning. So my notes here, this is, of course, part of a projected channel. So projector rules apply with this energy, seen, recognized, invited. People need to want your opinions and insights. So as always, projector energy, I like to say, post up. It's like, I'm over here. Clearly I know things, but I need you to want to know those things from me for that energy to be best used, right? And immediately I just laughed because I was like, thinking of opinions, and I'm just like thinking of the dude He's like, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. I have not watched that movie in so long, but it used to be a favorite in high school. So, now I'm in the mood. Uh, so anyway, deeper teachings from Ra talk about people with this excuse me, destroying their right eye. Remember, I said this is connected to the right eye, where they're like damaging it, going blind in it because of constantly trying to share their opinions and not waiting for the invitation. And he says, if you don't follow the wiring in your body and the way your wiring works effectively, it will create all kinds of health problems. Remember that the whole business about being a healthy human being is about being yourself. You really have to see how important it is to follow your formula. If you follow your formula, you are a healthy human being. So, conversely, if you're looking at the body graph, where this is located, right, the mind, the ajna, it's going to be on the left hand side. 17, it's going to be aiming down toward the throat. Now, the mirror image on the other side is the 11. So, I don't have 17. I don't have its channel partner, and I don't have any of this. But I do have gate 11 on the other side, which is the left eye. And this is part of the collective abstract sensing circuitry. So the yin side that's more flowy and experiential and artistic and, like all that kind of stuff. So it's like that's healthy for those people to, kind of be like more about the experience and go with the flow and all of that. Whereas these people, it's like, if you're really not using your gifts of, the like focusing on that more detail and factual stuff, it's like it's not going to be good for you. It's like we are all designed a specific way for a specific reason. And I see it all the time, like people wanting to go against some of their biggest gifts. And of course, like that's the whole point of human design. When you discover that, when you're like, oh my gosh, my son is in this particular gate or something, it's like, oh, so maybe that thing I'm naturally good at, that I really just want to be everything that I'm not, maybe I should really dial into that. Right. So, and that's how I see it again, what I was saying at the top of the episode. It's like the health, the body aspect is so important in human design and the embodiment of your design. And that's what I'm working on bringing to like the aesthetic world to be used in treatment and clinic, all of that, because um, not only are we always trying to go against our design, like who we are all the time, we do it on an energetic level as well. And just a little side note, this is also called the gate of time distortion. So it has a really interesting relationship to time. So if you have this, I would be curious what your experience is with that. Okay, so the programming partner, meaning if the sun is in 17, the earth is opposite in Libra, gate 18. And 18 is known as the gate of correction. The I Ching name for this is work on what has been spoiled. So the keynote with this one is a fear of authority. It's awareness of patterns that need to be corrected or not. Fear of being judged by others and or too much self-judgment. So I always laugh because like there's a book that describes this as both a blessing and a curse. And I would 1000% agree because while I don't, how I said, I don't have 17, I don't have 62, I don't have any of that. Oh, she does have gate 18 4 times. Oh, I have a very, very intimate relationship with this particular gate, and it's some very interesting and important things in my chart. So, here we go. 18 has this intuitive, instinctual ability to spot what's wrong with everything and what needs to be corrected or improved upon. So I'm always like, yeah, you could see how this could go south real quick, because it'll turn its energy in on itself or on other people. I'm always like, if somebody has 18 in their chart, it's like, and they're like, oh, I'm such a perfectionist. I'm like, believe them. It could be a legitimate issue, you know. Yeah, it's always like flaw finding, picking things apart. Nothing's ever perfect. Yeah. And I always think too with this because I have it so much in my chart. I think it's like in a good way, I don't put people on pedestals. Like I I just don't do that because I think I'm super aware that we're all like flawed human beings. most of all myself. And the high expression of this one is the energy to turn those tendencies outward, or like I said, um, well, excuse me, yes, to turn it outward because it's collective energy that is not meant to be used on the individual level, right? This is not about you or another person. This is about making yourself of service by seeing what's working or not working, I should say it's not really about what's working, it's about what's not working. And instead of that being a negative, being like, oh, I'm somebody who brings that energy of correction. Like this doesn't work, so we need to fix it. So you're basically helping improve everything for everyone. So very discerning, very, very discerning, very much alignment, refinement constantly. Like that's how I live my life. Even I'm thinking about doing this as season 2, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, see, we're not done. We're just gonna continue to, like, perfect, tweak, tweak, tweak," you know? Um, and the really magical thing about this gate, in my opinion, is it's like it's kind of like Midas touch. It's this ability to upgrade and up level anything and everything it comes into contact with, that little tweak, the cherry on top, the je ne sais quoi, it just elevates, elevates, elevates. And I always say it's like editor-in-chief Anna Wintour vibes, you know? So yeah, so that's what we've got going on there. And anything in this circuitry, so all 3 of these gates that I'll be talking about, it's like that collective logic is about striving for perfection and repeating, rinse and repeat until things are air quotes, you can't see me, but air quotes perfect. And I always say this is one I love to see in esthetician charts. I mean, on one hand, it can be a hang up, but at the same time, these are people who really do have an eye for detail and perfection. So the gate that completes the channel with 17 is Cancer, gate 62, and it forms the channel of acceptance. This is the design of an organizational being. So I laugh because I'm like, oh, this is your Excel spreadsheets person. And so 16 is, excuse me, gate 62. What are we even talking about? 16 is actually in this same circuitry, though. I will say that. So 62 is known as the preponderance of the small, the gate of details. And the keynote here is I think we're not communicating detail and fact. This gate is all about facts and details. It's someone who can organize information and turn it into something comprehensible. This is the voice of logic. Its gift is excuse me, spotting patterns and communicating the information. Gate 62 is said to be responsible for the creation of language. It's the ability to see, visually, see what's going on, and then verbally translate and communicate that information. So, what's really important is to remember that this needs, of course, to wait for the invitation. Otherwise, it can be spouting off random details that nobody asked for, which could potentially, confuse others rather than help them. And, it's also important to note you need to have a good grasp on the facts before you go around thinking you're this reliable human encyclopedia. You may be super intellectual, but the true gift is in making things simple to digest and understand. Explain it to me like I'm 5. So 17 is the ajna. So there's their mind connecting down to the throat center for expression of thoughts and ideas, turning it into actual language, taking the visual and making it verbal. When these two come together to form the channel of acceptance, it's about seeing patterns, organizing details, and communicating them in a very logical way. These people are organizers, managers, Excel spreadsheet queens, that very like, yeah, organized, paperworky kind of, you know, facts, ma'am type of people, the super logical. Can't stress that enough. If you have this, especially if it's a prominent placement like your sun, something, high up in the chart, it really is your gift to the world, to be that person. So, again, kind of to go back to what Ross said, what I quoted there, it's like if you're not following that, it's like you've been coded with these things very specifically for a very specific reason. And we should be using those talents, gifts, and skills. As much as we can. I'm like turning up the volume on it. So, anyway, astrologically, this would be in Aries, 17, and Cancer, 62, square. So, squares are always tension for the sake of growth in astrology. And this is also happening in the first quarter of the wheel, which is the quarter of initiation that's purpose fulfilled through mind. So, of course, you can see this. This is, somebody who's going to have a very active mind. But again, it's like, I understand my opinions are my opinions, just like the dude says, you know, and that's it, and also it's like they're going to be challenged. And I need to be okay with that. I need to go from like that mental level and like just have that understanding. So, do you have this gate in your chart? I already said where it's at. Ajna, that's the mind, left hand side coming down to the throat. So, if you have it red, black, or red and black colored in, if you don't have it like me, it's white. Look to the other side, 62. Is that colored in? You might be getting the full channel. If you're like me, no part of this, I have none of this energy, but of course, we're all experiencing it through the transits or through other people. So if you have it, always curious, hit me up on Instagram and let me know. Of course, I put those posts up for specifically for the treatment room to take this energy and use it in a way that will make sense and translate, which is part of my bigger project, but more to come. So I'll be back soon with more. If this episode was of value to you, I would love it if you would leave it a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts to help more people discover the information. And of course, if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the free guide, the $11 masterclasses, booking a one-on-one, all of these things located in the show notes in my Instagram bio at Michaela McLean. You just find me, you can get it all that you need. Golden Experience Guide, I forgot to mention that at the top. That is coming for estheticians to, again, like finding ways to attract your golden clients, some really, really cool stuff. It's actually the deepest I've gotten in as far as like the prequel to like, the big course that is coming, but using it in a very business kind of context. And then of course, we're really going to get into it deep in a whole other way coming very soon. So make sure you have signed up for the guide so you're on my mailing list, and I'll keep you in the loop. All right. Of course, until next time, have a beautiful day.